Hey there nation, welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander CheapSkate, and we are back with another edition of Hobbyside. This time, we're doing another look at our Necromunda terrain that we use for our channel. So as you can see here, we have a lot of terrain on this table. Now, a vast majority of the terrain you guys have seen over the course of our channel's history. We also did a couple of videos showing the different terrain pieces that we used in our Necromunda battle reports as well. Now, unfortunately, I did have a third video that I wanted to show you guys, but unfortunately when my computer died and my video card crashed on my iMac, and they had to go through and clear the hard drive out and everything else like that to fix it at the shop, I lost a couple of videos doing so. I lost a few battle reports. I also lost a couple of terrain and Hobbyside videos as well, and I just neglected to continue that series with my Necromunda terrain. So today what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at some of the pieces that have been added to our studio's terrain collection to use for Necromunda Kill Team / Warhammer 40,000 battle reports. So as you can see, a lot of the terrain you guys have seen before. For example, you've seen all the MCI chemical work buildings. You have seen the Crown Complex, which is the huge skyscraper that we have in our terrain. You guys have seen the elevated walkways, as well as this office building. You guys have seen this one as well as the Alexander's apartment store. We did a video where you guys saw the Quantum building, which is this amazingly detailed piece of terrain that Ironmajor did. So we're going to focus on some other pieces of terrain. Today we're going to work on some of the barriers that have been located throughout the entirety of this battlefield, some of the site blockers that we got. We also have some ladders that you guys have never seen before. Same thing with the Parkway Properties office building, which is this one over here. You guys haven't seen that one for a while, so we're going to talk about that video, as well as the gangplanks that you can see there connecting that building, as well as the metro terminal that we had, as well as the radar dish, which is a very new addition to our channel and our terrain collection. And once again, all this terrain is manufactured and made by our resident terrain wizard, Ironmajor. So Ironmajor, if you're watching this, buddy, this video is dedicated to you because of all your craftsmanship and just ingenious design work in creating all this awesome terrain. So we're going to talk about exactly what the terrain is about, how it was manufactured, the different things that are used to make it, and let's get this video on a roll. Alright, so one of the first pieces of terrain we're going to talk about is this ladder. As you can see here, it's just kind of a simple looking ladder here. This was actually created by Ironmajor. It's made from balsa wood, as well as popsicle sticks, as well as matchsticks, and as you can see here, it's just intricately just put together, which is time and patience. He pretty much just took all these sticks and kind of glued them together and glued them into place with some hot glue, scraped away the excess that was on the hot glue, and then he of course painted and dry brushed to make these really awesome looking ladders. Just a lot of time and effort went into making these. We actually have several of these that we could use for both Necromunda as well as for Mordheim if we want to do so earlier. He's made a handful of them. We have a ladder here. We also have another ladder that goes across this walkway here between the Crown Complex and this elevated walkway. And we have another ladder that is located over here with the metro terminal as well. He's made several of them over the course of the channel's history, so he's done a really excellent job on those. Excuse me. Another one that he's also made a lot of are these hedgehogs. Now, in case you're not aware of what hedgehogs are, these are classic military barriers that were created since World War II, I think, ever since tanks were eventually created. And hedgehogs, all they were really was just steel I-beams and scrap steel that was made into these caltrop-looking designs. They're used as fortifications in order to stop tanks from entering into areas as well, because, for example, if you guys ever watched Saving Private Ryan, there's a scene where they're sieging Omaha Beachhead, and the main character, Captain Miller, and a bunch of his rangers are taking cover behind these hedgehogs, as you can see here. And the reason why is because the idea was that if ships go over them, they get scraped in the bottom and puncture their holes. They're designed to mess up tanks, so that way they can't get through areas as well. So they're just a quick kind of barrier that was set up and improvised and welded together. Ironmajor in this case has made a whole bunch of them. He's made dozens of these things for our channel. And if you look really closely, what it is, it's plastiboard is what it is. If you look at some of the plastic signs that are existing out there for like advertisements, political signs, what they are, let me go ahead and pick this up real quick so you guys can get a better close-up at it. So if you look at the cross section here, it makes an eye shape, the plastic boarding, okay? Usually on one side of the sign, they usually have a bunch of, advertisements. The other side is blank. But if you take that sign and cut it lengthwise, I'm sorry, not lengthwise, widthwise, along the grain with the I-beams, and you come to various lengths, you could actually make pretty cheap and effective I-beams. And then of course all you gotta do is just paint them up wash them, dry brush them to make them look really, really cool that way as well. So Ironmajor has made a bunch of these I-beams for these girders. As you can see, here's some more of these hedgehogs over here as well. Also, if you look inside the buildings, for example, like this one, for example, you can find a lot of the ruins of these I-beams sticking out different parts of the interior of the buildings that Ironmajor has manufactured and built over the years. In fact, if we go to the Crown Complex here, you zoom in real quick, you can see the I-beams in the superstructure right there, for example. Just a whole bunch of time, patience, and painting into making all these little hedgehogs all over the place, as well as the I-beams over the place. And where we got our sign material to make this from, we didn't buy sign material because that's just crazy. A lot of stores, as well as a lot of political people in the United States, when they make up for, you know, when they put up their productions and their advertisements for running for political office and stuff, what ends up happening is that a lot of these signs end up on the side of the road and they're not picked up forever. They just pretty much get left there and get littered. I'm pretty sure they're supposed to come by and police them up, but in our experience, they never do. So what we do is we just kind of drive around the city sometimes when we're running errands or whatever, and if Ironmajor sees one, he just kind of jumps out real quick and grabs it real fast if it's just laying on the side of the road and just use it. And if it's weathered, that's fine. He just cuts away the parts that we don't need. So, you know, if you're looking to make some cheap I-beams for your videos, like here, for example, here's another example of some I-beams here for the Quantum building, then by all means, go out there and do your civic duty, pick up the litter, and make some cool terrain at the same time. So yeah, those are the I-beams as well as the hedgehogs that are being made. Another really cool piece of terrain that Ironmajor has made for our sight blockers, especially our barricades like this. Corrugated steel barricades. In fact, let me go and just grab that real fast so that way you guys get a better look at it real quick. I'm going to grab this real fast. Alright, so as you can see here, this is a hastily made, improvised piece of fortification that was made. It looks like something gang members or Imperial Guardsmen would make on the fly in warfare. It just consists of sheets of corrugated steel that is welded. I'm going to turn around real quick so you can see it. That is welded back to a frame of I-beams, spent wood, and whatever kind of other detritus that members might make in order to make their gear real fast. As you can see here, it's a really cool looking piece of terrain. And it's primarily made out of cardboard is what it is. So the wooden parts, of course, are made from balsa wood and popsicle sticks that Ironmajor has trimmed to size. And the iron plating in the front is the steel plating here, as you can see. It's just corrugated cardboard is all it is. If you go to supermarkets, a lot of supermarkets will have displays in which they keep a lot of their products inside of, and they have these corrugated sheets of cardboard inside in order to hold foil packets, things like taco seasoning, airtight sealed packages of tuna, you know, all kinds of stuff. You'll notice these when you guys look at the supermarket. So we just go to the supermarket, ask them if we can take that corrugated cardboard. They're more than happy to get rid of it because they don't have to recycle it. And we use that and cut that to size and, of course, paint it, dry brush, and wash it to make these really cool corrugated steel barriers real quick, like really improvised armor plating. That's an example of one of them right here in that barrier. You could also see it here too in the Quantum building. There's a piece of corrugated steel that was kind of improvised to make that barrier as well. So that's another example of some of the barriers that Ironmajor has made over the channel. He's actually thinking about making some shanties next, using exactly the same kind of construction technique to order to make those shanties for the Sumtown terrain that he wants to make next. So those are very cool as well. Now, one of the coolest pieces of terrain that we have, of course, is the Metro Authority Terminal. As you can see, it's this awesomely shaped, hexagonal shaped building that he built. It's got all kinds of different things. It looks like a little terminal in order to ride metros as well as ride subways and elevated trams and things. And as you can see, this building is just absolutely fantastic with all the detail that's on it, especially when it comes to battle damage and things of that nature. As you can see, pretty much what he did is he built a structure out of foam board, just cheap foam board from the dollar store. Is made what he has here. So he's made the initial structure with cheap foam board, and then what he did is he glued styrofoam to the outside of it to make a concrete shell on the outside of it. It's the same kind of technique he uses to make all of his buildings for our 40K terrain, as well as Necromunda terrain. And then of course he then also takes a hot knife, a styrofoam cutter, and he gouges it all over the place with battle damage to make it look like these things got shot with high explosive and laser beams and bullets and all kinds of stuff, and just destroys the heck out of this thing by making it look like it's been gouged up. He then also covers the entire surface in wood glue, adds some sand on the outside for texturing, paints it in dry brushes and washes it, of course. And then of course he puts Mosh Pods on the outside and under protected. So as you can see, it's a triple decker structure. And he also has foam board right here in the middle to make all the different levels for it to work as well. And I really love the signs. Like if you look at this one here, it just looks like it's been shot to pieces and just got hit with some high explosive here and was just blown the heck out. So that part is amazing as well. It's a 3-tiered structure. You guys have seen this in lots of our videos, especially when we're running our elevated walkways to it. So it looks really amazing. Now the grading that he has here, if you look real close, let me go and zoom in real fast so you guys can see it better. If you look at the grading that's in the windows here, what that is, that's from old rain gutter covers. Sometimes when you buy when you have rain gutters, you can buy these cheap plastic screens, for lack of a better word, that you can put on the top of your rain gutter, so that way it lets the water in, but not like tree branches and leaves and all kinds of different detritus as well. And so he just took a couple of those, cut them to size, and glued them in there, painted them as well. So those look really awesome too. And probably the coolest thing that he actually has built is this radar dish. This radar dish is absolutely cool. He built this for another piece of terrain that we call the Tower of Terror. We'll talk about that one later in a different video. But as you can see here, it looks like this really cool radar screen that he just kind of put together as some spare bits and bobs. Now this was, of course, no pre-bought terrain. What he actually made it from is an electric timer, an old electric timer that we had that broke and didn't work, as well as an apple core is what he did. So as you see here, that's the main dial of the electrical timer. Same thing with the screw bit here as well. That was the axis on which it traveled on, as well as a plastic timing gear on it as well. And what he glued it to, let me go ahead and turn this around real fast. He glued it, if you look in the back here, is a cheap dollar store apple core. So he went to the dollar store, bought a cheap apple core. That's the thing that turns your apples into multiple slices, and he glued it into it. In the back here is the other gears for the electrical timer. There is the actual body for the electrical timer right here on the bottom. This superstructure piece that holds up the axis, that is from a old plastic cap from a propane tank. He just kept that. They usually put that as a safety device for the gasket on a propane tank. He just took that off real quick and just glued it onto there. And then of course the base is just cheap styrofoam that he rimmed in cardboard. And then of course he made these little mini signs, which are really cool, warning, you know, microwave hazard. Same thing with the some of the wires and the different bobs and bits from the electrical timer, and that's how he created this radar dish. So goes to show you don't have to spend 60 bucks to buy terrain. And the grating that you see here, the metal grating, is just that granny cross point plastic sheeting that you can get at any hobby store. You can get sheets of that stuff for cheap and use that to glue in the middle to make it look like it's like a metal screen on that as well. And that's how he manufactured the radar dish for our channel. Alright, up next we're going to talk about the Parkway Properties office building. This one you guys have seen in lots of our video reports as well, and it's another office building that Ironmajor has created for our channel as well. In fact, I'm going to get on the other side here. This part here, the front is really cool, really battle damaged out. You got a huge explosion on the side of it. Also, if you look on the inside, that explosion carries on to the other end as well. And the main thing that's really cool about this building is not so much the front. I mean, the front is pretty awesome, but if you look on the inside, the interior is where it's at, where it's just all chewed up. The building has been hollowed out. As you can see, we have cardboard sheeting for most of it. We also have that I-beam structure looking. As you look here, you can see kind of like the plasta sign that he's used to make it. You can see the little eyelets right in there as well, covered in sand and grit and things. The same kind of construction technique that he used to make all of the buildings is using this one as well. So you can see he's got a foam board and cardboard that he just kind of reinforced and made a basic structure, and then he coated the outside of it with styrofoam. So that way it looks all chewed up and just looks like concrete that has got blown up and all kinds of stuff. Just absolutely amazing work here. He also put on a MDF base so that way it doesn't warp. Here's another shot of the metro terminal real quick. You can see another sign of it as well. It looks really awesome. But yeah, this is the Parkway Properties office building. It's been in a bunch of our different battle reports as well. It just looks like a chewed up piece of urban destruction that just got blown the hell out in the course of battle. And that's one of the things I really like about Ironmajor's design concepts. He does a really excellent job with the battle damage. As you can see there, it looks like that thing got blown up with some high explosive. You can see bullet strike marks and pock marks, spalding from where parts of it got blown off by gunfire. and all kinds of different things. And as Ironmajor said it best, I was like, man, you do a really good job with the battle damage. And he tells me, he says, hey, Iron Commander CheapSkate, it really helps making it look good, because the nice thing about 40k terrain now, they make it perfect. If it's all chewed up looking, the better, because it hides a lot of the mistakes that you might make, because battle damage hides a multitude of mistakes. So that's the Parkway office building. And the last piece of terrain we're going to talk about real quick on this table is these gangplanks. Let's go and grab one of these real fast. These gangplanks he made for both Necromunda. We could also use these for Mordheim if we wanted to as well. And as you can see, they're extremely detailed gangplanks. Look like they just got cobbled together by some gangers who want to get somewhere really quick. And how I did is he just took old cheap wooden dowels to make the superstructure of it, the frame, which he then hot glued together into place. And then he just took lengths of popsicle sticks and just cut them to different widths and lengths and made them look really, really jagged. Glued them around in places. There's some more of that granny grading we were talking about for a cross point. And then he just glued it all together, painted it, dry brushed it, and washed it to make it look really awesome. So we have several of them spread throughout the entirety of the battlefield. As you can see, we have one there, another one there. And if we go over here to the other side of the battlefield, we have another one connecting the Crown Complex with the Parkway Properties building, as well as this office building to this elevator walkway. So yeah, that's all it for this one, ladies and gentlemen. That's all the terrain we're going to show for this one. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is invaluable to us as always. Also, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as Google Plus for all the latest and greatest news about our hobby. That's good for this one, you guys. You guys stay classy. Peace out, you guys. Catch you guys in the next one.